Hello, welcome to the Mark Janad Show, the cybersecurity show. In this video, I'm going to go over the story of Jonathan James, who hacked the Pentagon. Yeah, I know, you heard it right. Hacked the Pentagon, right? And he was very young when he did it too, all right? So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going dark. So Jonathan James was born on December 12th, 1983 in a Pinecrest, right? Which is basically a small village in Miami-Dade County, Florida. So his father was a computer programmer and his mother was a housewife. So Jonathan developed an early interest in computers at the age of 6, regularly using his father's computer to play video games. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and the like button. So this early exposure laid the foundation for his deepening fascination with computers and technology during his childhood. Now, by the age of 13, Jonathan was heavily into programming and hacking. So his parents, concerned about the amount of time he spent on the computer, took away his computer, which led him to run away from home until he was allowed to return to it. During this period, he also hacked into his school network to alter his grades, demonstrating advanced technical skills for his age. He adopted the hacking alias Comrade as he engaged more deeply with hacking communities online. Now, despite his challenges with balancing his interest in technology and family concerns, Jonathan showed high academic performance, and his early childhood was characterized by a blend of typical and extraordinary experiences related to his precocious computer skills and hacking activities. So Jonathan James, using the handle Comrade, executed his attack on the Pentagon, specifically the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the DTRA, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Defense. Between August and October of 1999, the technical steps of his hack included, basically initial access via the vulnerabilities. So James probed government servers for vulnerabilities, ultimately identifying a weakness on a DTRA server located in Virginia. So the precise nature of this vulnerability was basically not publicly documented. Sources described it, generally as a security flaw that allowed external connections. There was also a backdoor installation. So after gaining initial access, James installed a backdoor on the compromised DTRA server. This allowed for persistent remote access that could bypass regular authentication controls. So basically, a backdoor in computer terms is a hidden method either installed initially or intentionally or maliciously to bypass normal authentication or security controls and gain unauthorized access to a system, data or application, right? So backdoors can exist in software or hardware and may be inserted by developers, right, for debugging or maintenance, or by attackers as part of a cyber attack. So when active, a backdoor enables someone to access or control the compromised system without being detected via standard security measures. This access can allow for data theft, system manipulation, installation of additional hardware or malware, right, or other malicious activities. Now, there was privilege escalation as well. So using data harvested, through his access, James performed privilege escalation attacks, which enabled him to gain higher level privileges on both the initial machine and other machines inside the agency's network. So privilege escalation is the process by which an attacker or unauthorized user gains elevated access rights or permissions within a computer system, network, or application by exploiting vulnerabilities such as programming, errors, design flaws, configuration oversights, or weak access controls. So the attacker starts with limited access and, by leveraging these weaknesses, obtains higher level privileges that allow them to perform actions not originally intended by the system administrators or developers, right? There are two types of privilege escalation. There's vertical privilege escalation. The attacker elevates their privileges from a lower to a higher level, right? From a regular user to an administrator or root user. There's horizontal privilege, right? Escalation. That's when the attacker accesses resources or functions reserved for other users at the same, privilege level, gaining access to another user's data or capabilities. Now, the next aspect of it was the sniffer deployment. So James placed a sniffer, which is software to capture network traffic, on the compromised server. This tool intercepted passwords, credentials, sensitive correspondence through the network. So after he did that, there was credential harvesting, right? And lateral movement. I'm going to get into a little bit of what those are. So with stolen credentials, at least 19 usernames and passwords, James was able to move laterally at least 10 additional Department of Defense computers, many of which were directly used by DTRA personnel. So credential harvesting is a cyber attack technique where attackers collect large amounts of user credentials such as usernames, passwords, and email addresses, and other login information. Though, these credentials are gathered through methods like whether it's phishing, malware, fake websites, social engineering, or malicious website extensions that capture login data. The goal is to use these credentials to gain unauthorized access to steal data, commit fraud, or facilitate further attacks because, basically people are often reusing passwords across multiple accounts. Harvested credentials can open access to a wide range of targets. Now, credential harvesting is frequently an initial or enabling step in more complex cyber attacks, including, ransomware campaigns. Now, lateral movement is the technique attackers use after gaining initial access to a network to move laterally, meaning sideways within the network environment. Instead of staying on the compromised system, attackers explore and navigate through connected systems to locate high-value assets such as sensitive data or administrative accounts. So this process involves activities like reconnaissance, right? Credential harvesting from internal systems, privilege escalation to gather higher permissions, and then use those credentials or system chips to access other machines. So these movements allow attackers to expand their control, maintain persistence, and prepare for data exfiltration or further disruptive actions. So attackers often utilize legitimate tools, whether it's remote desktop protocol, RDP, PowerShell, to avoid detection during lateral movement. So after that, there was the data exfiltration. So he ultimately intercepted over 3,300 emails and harvested credentials from Pentagon systems. So James also gained access to NASA computers and obtained critical source code from the International Space Station's life support software. So data exfiltration is the unauthorized transfer, copying, or retrieval of data from a computer, server, or other device, right? It is essentially a form of data theft where sensitive or valuable information is illicitly moved from inside an organization or an individual's device to an external location without permission. It can be carried out in a multitude of ways. Manually, right, is one, by someone who has physical access to the device. Automatically is another one, through malware or malicious programs that infiltrate a network and stealthily move data outside. So data exfiltration is basically considered a major cybersecurity threat because it often targets high-value data such as intellectual property, customer databases, personally identifiable information, also known as PII, financial records, credentials, or trade secrets. So the stolen data may be sold on the dark web, black market, used for further attacks, or held for ransom in ransomware attacks. So this threat can come from both external attackers and malicious or careless insiders, right? External attackers often use malware to access and exfiltrate data, while insiders might transfer data outside the organization intentionally or inadvertently through email, cloud storage, or removable media. So detecting data exfiltration is challenging because data transfers, may mimic normal network traffic, allowing significant breaches to go unnoticed until after the data is compromised. So the breach went undetected for several weeks. Man, in the Pentagon, right? Several weeks. Partially because the DTRA's network security was lax and monitoring was insufficient. So James was eventually discovered by federal investigators after unusual network traffic and the use of unauthorized backdoors were detected. Now, the backdoor and sniffer approach is basically a classic post-exploitation showing James' understanding not just of exploiting vulnerabilities, but of maintaining presence and harvesting sensitive information. Now, the technical details on the original exploit remain basically sparse in public documents, in part due to classification and the sensitivity of the compromise. most accounts emphasize that privilege escalation and insufficient security practices by the DTRA were basically key factors in James' success. So the system James targeted used Unix-based platforms, and he was reportedly highly proficient in Unix and C programming. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Now, publicly available information about the technical specifics of the original vulnerability, exploit code, or step-by-step network diagram is limited, likely due to, again, the classified, nature of the systems involved and the ongoing relevance of similar exploits in cybersecurity. However, the progression when it comes to reconnaissance, exploitation, backdoor installation, sniffer deployment, credential harvesting, and lateral movement is well supported in historical retrospective. Now, for future hacks, right, the Pentagon is basically making a comprehensive shift in its cybersecurity approach, right? Now, it's basically centered around zero trust architecture, modernization, and identity management, right? Stricter control of access to classified information, increased cyber workforce investment, and enhanced monitoring of both traditional IT and operational, technologies systems. Now, some of the things that they're working on, which is bravo, or what they could have done, was the core technical defenses, right? The zero trust implementation. So the Pentagon is abandoning the old castle and moat approach in favor of a zero trust model. So that basically means no user device or application, even those already inside the network perimeter, is automatically trusted. Instead, every access attempt is validated based on multiple criteria such as user identity, device state, location, and time of access. So network segmentation is by application rather than the network, preventing lateral movement if an adversary gets inside. Modernizing the identity, the credential and access management, that's the ICAM, right? Enhanced ICAM systems tightly control what information each person can access and rigorously monitor everyone who is connected. So this includes real-time authentication, regular password revalidation, granular access rights, and monitoring for privilege escalation, making it harder for attackers to manipulate accounts and traverse the network undetected, right? They can also do continuous monitoring and automation. So the Pentagon is investing in automation tools for threat detection, response, and user behavior analytics. So these tools constantly watch for anomalies in user activity, device status, and data flows to identify and neutralize threats quickly, even if an attacker gains a foothold, right? They're also implementing operational technology security. So the Zero Trust Office now focuses not just on IT networks, but also on securing operational technologies such as weapon systems and military vehicle systems that often have legacy vulnerabilities and open data channels between hardware components. So this involves monitoring data paths between components for basically anomalous activity and area attackers historically exploited, right? They're also beefing up their policy and workforce measures, right? Stricter classified information access. The Pentagon has reinforced its policies about who can access classified data, aiming to prevent leaks and insider threats. This involves more rigorous vetting, stricter
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Compartmentalization and monitoring of both digital and physical access, right? Now, there's a dedicated cyber service and training reform. So one of the biggest structural proposals is to create a dedicated cyber force or unify recruitment, training, and standards across all branches, as existing models have been too fragmented, right? So gaps in training and inconsistent readiness have been exploited in the past. So standardizing and strengthening the cyber workforce is a priority. So that includes regular assessment and reporting, right? There are ongoing mandatory reviews of spyware incidents, cybersecurity of mobile and internal devices, and routine congressional reporting. So this ensures past intrusions are understood and future defenses are continually improved, right? But there's still going to be challenges, right? The Pentagon's IT landscape is massive and complex, so thousands of systems and millions of users, making perimeter-based defense unviable. So emphasizing zero trust, automated detection, and compartmentalized conditional access at every level is now essential, right? There's still challenges. Trust is years long and complex. Workforce shortages and training inconsistencies, slow progress, and adversaries continually adapt, meaning technical defenses must evolve rapidly. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you appreciate this video and you want more videos like this, please let me know that by hitting that subscribe button and the like button right now. Also hit that notification bell so you are alerted when I upload new videos. I appreciate your viewership. Stay safe and see you on the next video.